Welcome to the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles. I'm here with my co host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Today, we're thrilled to be joined by Andrea Liebross, a business growth coach, life integration strategist, best-selling author, keynote speaker, and host of the She Thinks Big podcast. Through her coaching, book, and speaking, she empowers women to think big, align vision with action, and transform challenges into opportunities for growth. We'll dive into her powerful frameworks like the Future You framework and the trust model. She'll walk us through that whole process, and I'm really excited to dig into that. So get ready for an inspiring conversation with a woman who helps entrepreneurs move past the messy middle and into extraordinary. Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rebecca. I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. So, Andrea, you do so much. So, what I heard Rebecca say is you're a coach, a writer, a podcaster, you're a public speaker. Well, not only how do you have time to do it all, but where did this all begin?
Well, I don't know if I have time to do it all. I have some people that are helping me do it. That's that's that. But it began because I worked for a company for about 10 years. And I was what they would call they called it director of business development, but you have helped me understand that what you might call it in your world is a field coach. And I worked for them where I was recruiting really new business owners. So, sometimes I explain it as they were franchise owners, but they really weren't a franchise owner on paper. It was kind of this indirect model of business. So they were excited, right? When they came on, they were super excited, and I helped them get going. Um, they started to become profitable. The clients came in, customers came in, they're getting traction. And what I observed over those 10 years is there comes a place and time where they reach what I call the messy middle, where things are not going to be able to proceed as they thought, or the way they started is not the way this is going to continue. There's a lot of emotion then that comes into that time frame. The business starts to feel heavy. They start to doubt themselves. There may be some guilt around it. Like, am I spending too much time on this? It's taking away from my family. So I helped them work through that piece of the puzzle, that time frame, and that's what I really loved doing. So, however, what I didn't love doing is really, I mean, I could say like staying small or following the rules. There weren't supposed to be any rules. We were supposed to be able to run businesses like we wanted to run them, but there were rules. And I recognized that I was being kept kind of in this very small box or container. And together with these owners, we were coming up with great ways to, for example, market or new spins on how to put something out there in the world. And a lot of times those new great big ideas were getting squashed by a corporate entity. So I recognized that I didn't want to stay in that box anymore after 10 years, and I quit, and I had it. The joke was, if I have one more big idea that doesn't come to fruition, I'm out. So one day I was out. And at that point, I hired my very first coach. I had never worked with a coach, and she helped me recognize that two things. Number one, the reason I did stay there is because I did love helping people navigate through that messy middle. And number two, I was probably pretty good at it. So maybe I should give it a go and start my own business, helping. I help primarily women work through this messy middle in their business, whatever the industry might be. So that's kind of the 2-minute version of how I got to where I am today.
I love this story. Because it's so easy to get involved with companies that have no room for innovation, right? It's this way or the
Yes.
highway. It's really discouraging to someone that thinks big, thinks different, sees opportunities when you feel kind of trapped. So it sounds like that was a poor cultural fit for you. It just wasn't a good fit. And I love how you
Mm.
turned it into something beautiful. So, would you consider yourself a nonconformist, or are you just innovative, or both?
Um, I kind of feel like both. I actually, someone asked me this question yesterday. She said, what have you done that's sort of out of the norm, right? What are you doing in your business that may not be conforming? So I think eh, if I go back to that time frame where I left that company, at that point I would really have just considered myself a bigger thinker,
Hmm.
right? And I think, I wasn't really thinking about not conforming because I really didn't think like, why should we be conforming to your small ideas? Now, what am I now? Like 8 years out of this. I think I'm doing some things in my own business that maybe aren't industry norm, but so there's probably a combo there. But I don't think that big thinkers necessarily have to be non-conformists, but they probably need to be risk takers.
Yeah,
They probably need to understand that, even the best laid plan may not come to fruition and things are going to evolve and morph as time goes on. So, and they also have to realize what works for them may not work for the other guy. So it's kind
yeah,
of I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
yeah.
That kind of leads into my question because I was wondering, first of all, I love the whole concept of the messy middle. That's
Hmm.
so that's just so fresh, right? It's such a good label for it because it's true, it's messy. So, but you said about you work with business owners across industries. So is it the same process for every industry?
I mean, theoretically, yes, right? The details might look different, but it really is. I mean, I like there's a figure. I've learned all the correct terms in my book. Figures, not charts, not graphics. A figure that shows these loops, right? So I call them loop-de-loops. And your business starts out and you're in loop number one. You've got a belief that this is possible. You start to take action towards it. You start to see a result. And then you get to this messy middle and you've got to reevaluate, reassess, probably tweak some things. And then that completes loop number one. Then you're on to the next loop, right? The next phase of business growth. And same elements are there. There's going to be a messy middle, right? And you're going to resolve things in a way. So I think theoretically, this is all very similar, regardless of businesses. The
Hmm.
details might look a little different, but when someone comes to me and says, well, my business is so different than that, I'm not sure you can help me. It's so different. I, I quickly try to sort of shut that down and say,
Yeah.
listen, if you're in business, you're in the business for, you probably do want to make money. Even if you tell me money isn't the most important thing, let's get real. You wouldn't be in it if you didn't want to make money. You probably have some part of your business that you do enjoy. Maybe you might not be, the ultimate passion project here, but there's got to be something about the business, even if it's just serving others, right? That you're in it for. So the tenants are all there. The bones are there, regardless of the business.
Rebecca, is it similar to the stages of growth? Because it's
It really is. I like that you named it loop-de-loop. In franchising, we use a model called the stages of growth, which comes from Neil Churchill's work. And it defines each stage based on leadership style of that company, based on the organizational structure, what experts are in there. It's also based on the initiatives and goals, what they're kind of working on. Are they going after money? Are they building their team? Are they working on
Yep.
technology? It also has to do with how formal their systems are, how involved that founder, concept originator is. And then, like to your point, we call it loop-de-loops, this messy middle, we call it crises or growing pains. So it's very similar. So if you're not familiar
Yep.
with Neil Churchill's
Uh,
work, It's widely, what the heck is going on with my mouth? Used through the world of franchising because it's so predictable. And as you
Mhm.
pointed out, Andrea, doesn't matter what the industry is, doesn't matter what the business is. You are going to go through loop-de-loops and you're going to go through messy middles and these challenges. And so if you know they're coming up, you can find ways to navigate it more beautifully. So I think I'm going to start using your loop-de-loop analogy, though. That I love that.
It sounds better than well, the messy middle also I think sounds better than, what did you call them? Crises?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
Crises is like a sense of urgency.
yes, yes. And
yeah.
this is just, you have to kind of sit in the messy middle a little bit. It's not going to be over tomorrow, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, you got into the coaching of entrepreneurs and business owners to help them through not just the messy middle, but a bunch of other things that you're helping them with. And one of the models that I was particularly interested in you sharing with us was the trust model, because it really does get meaty and it answers a lot of questions. Do you mind sharing with us uh, just kind of briefly what the trust means, and then maybe we can break it down into individual pieces?
Sure. So, I'm all about helping business owners think bigger about what's possible. And that type of thinking is not necessarily super easy to do. I say that thinking comes from future you. So that's the you a year from now, 3 years, 5 years from now, who has, I don't know, maybe they've got 3 locations, right? Or maybe they're out of this whole thing and they're sitting on a beach in Florida sipping a margarita, and other people are running the businesses. Whatever that might look like to you, that's future you. And if we ask future you, what should you do today in order to get there? They always have the best advice, I think. And
Mhm.
one of the pieces of their advice is that you've got to trust yourself. You've got to trust the process. You probably have to trust some others. So I've been asked a lot of often, what is big thinking, or what is the thinking that future you is doing? And I'm using the word trust as an acronym to describe what that really means. So we'll go through it quick, and then I can help break it down. The T in trust, the first T in trust stands for thought options. The R stands for real problem. And I'll give you a little spoiler alert, there really isn't one. The U stands for embracing uncertainty or unknown. S stands for securing support, and T stands for taking massive action.
I love it.
Okay. So starting with thought options, right? That you said
Yes.
T is
Yes.
options. Tell us what thought options are.
Okay, so we could go back to the unconventional question you asked me. So, thought options mean that you have truly options on how you want to think about any situation. And this is really hard work for our brains because our brains like to think in facts. Well, of course, this is what's going to happen. If I do A, then it's going to lead to B. I mean, come on, Tracy and Rebecca, don't you know that? Like, this has happened 20 times before. Okay. So, all right, maybe it's going to happen, but you also have the option to think that you could create a different result, right? You've got an
Mhm.
option. So, I like to think of thought options as uh, I use the analogy, you're at a wedding, you're at a function, there's someone with past hors d'oeuvres. He's walking around and he comes up to you and he puts this tray in front of you and says, "Take one." And you kind of look down on the tray and you're like, what should I choose? Should I choose the shrimp cocktail? Should I have the bruschetta? Should I have the spinach square? Like, what should I have, right? You've got a tray of options. So when you're thinking about your business and you're thinking about what do I do in this situation, you can go to the conventional party line of course I'm going to do A, or you can think, wow, what if I did B? And you have to really be giving equal airtime. I like to call it equal airtime to all the thought options, right? And a very easy way to think about this too is if we take something really non-business related, but let's say it's 70 degrees and sunny at your house today, which is kind of what it is at my house. Okay, 70 degrees and sunny. So I could think a thought might be, really, today on a Thursday, this is a day when I'm on Zoom all day long. I mean, couldn't this be Saturday? That's an option. Or I could think, wow, this is great. I get to look out the window and the sun is shining and the leaves are blowing and this is amazing, right? Or I could think, well, I wish it was 80, right? So these are all thought options. And it's the same in business. So that's what that T really stands for. And big thinkers recognize that they've got options. And they also assess, is what's going through my mind right now, is it a fact or is it just a thought? And most of the time, our brains just come up with thoughts. So that's
I
T.
I love the analogy of the hors d'oeuvres being served because I know exactly what I would pick. Um, but as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking how this is rewiring the brain. If you're looking at everything through that filter of I have thought options, I don't have to go with that first thought. I can evaluate option B, option C, option D. I would think not only does it rewire the brain, but in many ways, it trains the brain to always look for another way. So we don't feel stuck, like you said, doing things more for rote or that we don't have any options and we're backed in the corner. Would you agree that's a lot of what's happening?
It is. It is a lot of what's happening. I mean, we have neuroplasticity, right? But you have to work at creating those new neural pathways and seeing the possibilities. And doing that does take energy, right? And it does take time. It might take some money even to explore some options. But in the end, I think it is always to our benefit to see the options. If the only reason is just to retrain our brain.
So I just have to share this because it happened so recently, like this past week. And I think it's what you're talking about with thought options. So I was playing pool, billiards with my fiance. And I said, my aim is just off today. I'm just, having a bad game. My aim is off. So he looked at me, he was silent for a moment, and then he just said simply, fix it. It didn't even occur to I thought I was just going to have a bad game. It did not even occur to me. Yeah, I have the power in this moment to fix it. And that's totally what you're talking about. And like all these bells are going off in my head right now.
Exactly, right? You're like, okay, it is the way it is,
It is the way
right?
it is. And I'm
But
a coach. And it is
maybe not, right? Maybe not. Like, what if we did fix it? What would it take to fix it? Can you help me fix it? Right?
Yeah.
Or not. I'm going to fix it by myself, right? So, yes, that's a great example. It's a
And
great
I did,
example.
by the way. I did
Oh,
fix
good.
it.
I hope you won.
Actually, I did win one of the games. I don't know if it was that one.
Okay. That's funny.
Girl
I love,
power.
Right.
I love that story, Tracy. Years ago, as part of a training program, and there was an exercise, what we called how and what are some ways. So you would look at kind of where you wanted to go, and then you would just write down as many possible ways that that could happen, right? Um, and it's amazing how it opens the mind. The other thing that happened on stories I got back from that was you don't miss an opportunity. If you've already sort of thought it through, you don't miss the opportunity for something. So I love your T, and we could stay on the
We
first
could.
T for hours,
Right.
but I want to
Right.
learn all these other things. So now we get the R. Tell us about the R.
So the R is stands for real problem. Okay. And the spoiler here is that there really probably isn't a problem that can't be solved. Okay. So if you think about yourself, whoever I'm sure you've said to someone probably recently, hey, this is the problem. This is the problem with this. This is the problem with that. Here's what, okay. And usually that you give some backstory too. Here's how we got here, right? But 99.9% of the time, we can solve the problem. And even when we do solve it, your brain wants to go to there's still a problem, right? You're gonna find the next one. And what is really happening here is the only problem in seeing these possibilities or getting to that next step is probably a feeling, a negative feeling that you don't want to experience. So we do or don't do everything because we want to feel or not feel a certain way, right? So even think about choosing your thoughts. If I want to think that, oh, this, 70 degrees is amazing, I can do that. I can do that, right? If I want to feel great about today, I can feel great about today. If I want to feel like, woe is me, I wish this wasn't the case, I can feel that way. So the real problem is only a feeling. And we don't want to feel doubt, right? We don't love feeling guilt. We don't want to feel frustrated. We don't want to feel discouraged. We don't want to feel burdened or overwhelmed, right? And when we're describing a problem, what our brain recognizes as a problem, we're probably going along right alongside that is this negative feeling. So the good news here is you can change how you feel just by changing your thought.
Thoughts.
Yeah, that's it.
Can you give us an example of how somebody would feel guilt in a
Yes.
business? Like
Yes.
my mind isn't equating that.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll go back to when I worked way back in the day for the company I worked for, right? In that messy middle, a lot of what was happening or the feelings these new owners were experiencing, or at that point, not so new, was guilt. Because at this point in the game, they realized that something had to change. They had to tweak something if they were gonna get through this messy middle. And it probably was going to take more resources, more time, more money, more people, or more energy. And they started to feel guilty about using those resources. So if we just go with time, if they might recognize maybe I need to put more time into my business, and then that made them feel guilty that that time was now not being used with towards their family, right? Or guilt in terms of energy and brain power. So I think we've probably all experienced, or if anyone who's entrepreneurial, it's Saturday and you're thinking about work, right? So you're putting brain power towards your business when maybe the brain power should go towards, the soccer game or going out on a boat or whatever, right? So that's what I mean about guilt. So it's a problem, right? It's a problem that you don't have enough time or how you're using your time or even money. Like, should I be putting more money into X piece of the business? Should I be investing in new software? Or in hiring more people? Should I be able to figure this out on my own? Do I really need these people? Can we use the software we have? Right? I'm sure you guys are dealing with this all the time. So that's what I mean by guilt.
That makes total sense to me. I'm thinking of clients we've had and how had we taken the moment and said, what is the real problem and get to the emotion, we probably would have solved problems before. One that comes up a lot for us here at Zoracle is a need to control, right? And sometimes growing means you got to put some of the controls in the hands of others, and many entrepreneurs fear that. So it's a combination of I need to control, and if I don't know what's going on in every single thing, things are going to fall apart, and of course, fear. So I could see where if we get to the emotion, we could likely solve the problem, right? And
Exactly.
especially if we
Exactly.
combine it with that thought option part, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy. Not really, but it is easy.
Yeah.
Here's the
Well,
thing. It's not as complicated as we make it.
yeah. Thank
It's
you for
really not
sharing
as
that because that
complicated.
was a biggie for me. Thank you
Okay.
for sharing
Good.
that. Let's move on to the you part of trust.
Okay, so this goes right from our real problem feeling discussion. So the U in trust stands for uncertainty or unknown. And if you are a big thinker, you're going to have to embrace the uncertainty and the unknown. And a client once said to me, everything we always wanted is on the other side of uncomfortable, right?
Mhm.
So when there's unknown or uncertainty, it's uncomfortable. And it but the good news, bad news here is we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Even if we look at our calendar and we have a full day and we think we know exactly what's going to happen, we really don't. So there's no way that we can get out of the uncertainty or the unknown, even when we say to ourselves, I just want to make sure I have all my ducks lined up in a row. right? All the I don't want to make any moves until I know all the facts. Okay, we could gather all the facts. I'm all for facts. We still don't really know how it's all going to play out, right? So if you're someone where you catch yourself saying, "Yep, that sounds great, Rebecca, I want to come work with you. That sounds great, but I just want to think about it for a few days." Okay, I'm sure you've heard this before, or you've
Mhm.
said it yourself. I always ask for permission when that happens to me, or I've got a prospective client saying that. So I say, "Do I have permission to put my coach hat on?" Sure. I said, "Okay, what exactly are you thinking about? I know you want to think about it, and I'm all for thinking. My podcast's name, She Thinks Big. Like, clearly I'm in on it. But what exactly are you thinking about?" And they don't really usually have a great answer to that.
Right.
Well, I mean, I'm going to look at the bank account. Well, I'm going to talk it over with whatever. You kind of know what's in the bank account. You kind of know. I mean, you get rough ideas. What's really going on is that your brain is kind of going through its Rolodex looking for evidence. I call it like the mental Rolodex for
Mhm.
evidence to support whatever decision you're about to make. It's trying to prove that, yes, this is the right way to go, or no, it's not. And we really will never know until we try it.
You do it.
Yeah.
I
So
love that quote that you said earlier. Everything we've ever wanted is on the other side of uncomfortable. I love that.
yeah, it's true, isn't it? When you think about it.
It is true.
Yes, we never get where we want to go by staying the same.
Mm-mm.
In our comfort.
No, correct. Yep.
Yeah. I think we do have an epidemic as it relates to allowing ourselves to feel uncertain, to feel uncomfortable, to be in the unknown. There is kind of I think, almost a human instinct to figure it out.
I
Uh,
think you're right. I think you're right. I mean, I just look at my kids right now. They're 24 and 21, and they think they can figure everything out by watching a YouTube video, right? Or, what do you
Yeah.
mean I can't get this in 24 hours or less on Amazon, right? It says 3 to 7 days. Is it going to be 3? Is it going to be 7? We don't know. They don't like that, right?
no.
So, I mean, it is human nature too to want things to be, you want to be safe, right? There's something called the motivational triad. You want to be safe. You want things
Mhm.
to be easy. You want them to be efficient. You want them to be comfortable. That's human nature. But we don't live in a world where all those things are guaranteed. And you've got to
No.
be okay with that.
Beautiful. Okay, let's move on to the S part of trust.
Yes. Okay, so the S stands for securing support. So the things we've just talked about, like kind of sourcing thought options, if we want to look at it that way, navigating negative feelings, being okay with the unknown. Doing that all on your own is hard. And I would argue it's almost impossible. Doing it with support is hard too, but you have a much better chance of working through all of this, maintaining that big thinking, creating what future you is possible, like you getting to that future you, if you secure some support. And that can look like a lot of things. Okay. But what it really should be, like your litmus test here, is who or what is supporting you and helping you kind of read the label or see what's going on outside the box. So I like to say, we get stuck in our own peanut butter jars, right? It's so sticky in there that we can't even read the label. We can't even crawl ourselves up to the edge and peer over and see what's going on outside. So you need a label reader. You need someone to bring some of these possibilities into play and to help support you as you navigate them. And a lot of times when I ask this to a client, I'll say, who's supporting you? Oh, my team is supporting me, or my spouse is supportive. Okay, and good. I'm so glad all those people are on your side. Yay, that's helpful. However, they're kind of stuck in the peanut butter jar with you,
Mhm.
or they're likely, another analogy I use is they're likely to jump in the pool with you, meaning like this is
Mm,
hard. They can commiserate, they
mm,
can empathize, right? But they're not going to push you to that next level of, okay, like, let's get out of the pool. Let's see what's on the other side. They're kind of like, I like to say, if you have the right support, you've got a life jacket. You've got someone that's got you, that's going to guide you from where you are now to where you want to go, or help you choose which trail to take. So if you think about even just if we think about like society, people in society who are thought of as big thinkers, right? We probably could, between the three of us, we could come up with a list of 10 people who are thought of as big thinkers out there. I don't know anyone who's doing it alone. I mean, I don't know, right? They all have some sort of support. So you really need that, especially as a business owner.
So
So
true.
how does a business owner determine what type of support or in what area they need the support?
Yep. So I mean, you probably need support in tons of areas, right? And some of them are very tactical. Okay. You need someone to look at your numbers. Okay. You need someone to help say to you, hey, I think the software you're using right now is out of date, or you could do something better, right? You need that kind of support. But then you also need someone supporting what I like to call like your mindset or your thinking, right? So that's a different type of person. That's the kind of the thing I love doing. I love supporting people, helping them stay in the possibility, helping them move from where they are now into the future. I don't get into the super nitty gritty of, I might say to them, hey, we got to get someone to look at your numbers. Like this, I mean, I can give you a general sense here, but this is not my area of expertise, right? So then you need someone to have, you need that kind of support. So it's probably going to look like multiple people, software systems. It's not just going to be one thing. And if you go back to your family, like they're supporting you, but their job is to love you. Like their job is not to tell you what to do in your business, right? So let them keep loving you. Let them do that job and get someone else to do the other things. And same thing, like your bookkeeper is not a CPA. I mean, they might be, but like there's different roles there, right? So you might need the bookkeeper and the CPA. You do need, I'll tell you right now, you do. So, but that kind of thing. So it's going to look like a variety of things. But, you know, if we go back to our four most valuable resources, time, money, people, and brain power, energy, it's sometimes it's pretty obvious that you need support in the time, money, or people areas. But I think most importantly, you need help supporting your thinking or your energy, because with some brain power, you can create more time, you can create more money, you can create more people. So you need that support too.
The point that you made that our family, our business partners, our employees are part of the peanut butter, right?
Yeah,
That are stuck in there with us, so they're not able to look at things as objectively as what you need in terms of support. So we really do need to look outside of who's in that peanut butter jar with us, right? And
exactly.
and that's likely a collection of
Yeah,
individuals. And we have to, as Tracy was sort of alluding to, pick those support systems deliberately and consciously. This is what I'm looking for. This is what needs to fill in those gaps. Um, I, I, um, I applaud that. Again, I'm relating to this.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And like support systems need support systems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Right.
do.
So, you know, even though I work with business owners as a in a coaching capacity, I have a coach, right? So it's like it's hard to do this work for yourself.
For
Yeah.
sure. Brings us to our last T. I can't wait to hear about this.
Okay, let's round it out. So we can do all the thinking we want, right? We can be very theoretical about some of this and philosophical and go deeper, but bottom line is this last T stands for taking massive action. So you do have to do something. You do have to act. And we sometimes want to go right to the action. Like I've got people telling, I'm sure you guys do too. Okay, just I'm really good at following instructions. So can you just tell me what to do? Right? Can you just tell me what to do? We've all heard that. Sorry. Like I could tell you what to do, but I bet you can figure out what to do if we work on some of the other things. However, are you actually, even if we get to that place, are you going to do it? Okay. Or are you going to be stuck in passive action? So there's massive action and then there's passive action. Passive action, I would define as listening to this amazing podcast. It is a great thing to do, but you could listen all you want. Are you applying any of what we're talking about? Right? Reading a book. I wrote a book. You can go get it. Go read it. It's called She Thinks Big, right? But that, are you actually doing anything from that learning? So if you're someone that thinks you're doing all the things, but nothing is changing or you're not getting where you want to go, I would assess, are you taking passive action or are you taking massive action? And massive action is usually the thing that's going to be uncomfortable, that's going to bring up some sort of negative emotion, that probably is a, came up as a thought option, probably not the safest, easiest thing to do. Okay. So but it's really the thing that's going to move the needle, or it's going to get you, everything's always on the other side of everything you always wanted is on the other side of uncomfortable. It's going to get you there, right? That's the massive action. And you need support in taking that massive action, most likely, but that's what's going to get you there. And all actions or reactions have a result. And if you don't like the result of what's happening or your actions, then you might choose a different action, and that's okay. But assess what type of action, massive or passive, you're taking, and if you do love the result, and if we have to switch up the action.
Andrea, these are such great concepts. If our listeners want to get in touch with you or find out more information, what's your website? What's your contact information?
Yeah, I'm always welcome any conversation with anyone. So I'm an open book on that one. You can go to Andrea's with an S, links with an S.com, andreaslinks.com. And you can, that links to my website right there. You can always book a call. There's a link to book a call. There's a link to my podcast called She Thinks Big, a link to the book She Thinks Big. I am on LinkedIn, Andrea Liebross. I'm on Instagram. Come follow me. Those are my two favorite platforms. Would love to have a conversation. And I would encourage listeners, if some of this is resonating with you, go to that Andrea's links and do it's called like the diagnostic audit. It's a 2-minute kind of quiz type thing where I'm going to help you identify what I might label as the silent saboteur in your business. So a lot of things are obvious to us, like we need better software or we probably need to hire someone. But what else is lurking behind all of this that's sort of silent, but it's sabotaging you? That might be some of your thinking. And that diagnostic audit 2-minute quiz is going to help you identify that. So go take that at Andrea's with an S, links with an S.com.
That sounds, Rebecca, we have to do that.
We're going to do it. There's no doubt we're going to do it. That silent saboteur, I can feel it in myself all the time. It gets up to a certain point and it goes, too much success. And
yes. Like, what's going on? What's happening?
All this, stuff.
Slow down, right?
The other thing that hit me with this, Andrea, is how this becomes almost a cycle, this trust thing, because the taking massive action, and let's say we bump our head in the action we're taking, it takes us back to that thought process of what's some other ways, or how is this causing, a glitch? And so it actually takes us right back to the top of assessing our thoughts and our
exactly,
right? So just cycles right.
I mean, it's very cyclical. That's a really great point. And we could do a whole other episode on, and people can probably find my work on this, but I call it like a to believe list. And thoughts are also beliefs. And sometimes we have to go back and assess, like, what are we believing? So that leads you to different actions and different results. So anyway, I could go off on a tangent on that, but
we may have to have you back to talk about that too, Andrea.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm taking copious notes, And it's hard to write and look at the same time, but I'm taking massive notes. This was very eye-opening for me. I think it's going to be eye-opening for our audience also. So I hope a bunch of people reach out to you to learn more. And I definitely would like to have you back. So thank you for making time for us today, Andrea. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So Tracy, back to you for our final thoughts.
Andrea, have you ever surfed?
Twice, but not very well.
You know why? Because I don't think you're the surfer. I think you're the wave underneath.
Oh, I
I
love
think you're
that.
the wave. I don't think, yeah. When I look at you and I listen to you, I get the image of a wave carrying the surfers who are the businesses, like closer and closer to their destination where they want to be.
Sometimes I say I'm a Sherpa. So kind of like the same idea. A
Sherpa?
Sherpa carrying you from where
Yes,
you are now to where you want to go.
exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love your concepts, your trust concept, your future you. It's all very fascinating. And it's not only fascinating and interesting, it's helpful, right? It's just a matter of applying it, digging out the emotion underneath. So thank you for all the work that you've done to develop these theories that are helping so many business owners.
Well, thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. Tracy, I love that visual
Yeah,
because it really is, the water is just makes
yeah,
people go to that next step, but it's still the surfer that has to take action,
yeah.
has to step up and do the
But
things. So I love that
she is
visual.
that wave. She is that wave.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you are definitely that wave, kind of the wind beneath your wing kind of
Yeah.
idea, but this is even better because of the power of
And
water.
it's the big wave. It's not the little ones, it's the big one that you're waiting for.
Right. Again, thank you, Andrea. And to those listening today, make sure to comment, like, and obviously share this interview. And we'll see you next week on another episode of the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose come together, relationships are forged, and profits are made.